a bridge builder for civil society initiatives which contribute to innovation and cultural diversity and, of course, inclusion. And I think this, not only in Kenya, but in very many African, sub-Saharan African societies, plays a very important role. Since our government negotiations in 2016, the German and the Kenyan governments have agreed on making technical and vocational training one of their top priorities of cooperation. I think it is a very good opportunity to also make the issues of cultural and creative industry match with what we see mainly like automotive and mechatronics and everything, which are completely different fields, but also creativity is important for a peaceful, creative and democratic exchange in a society.
There's a little bit of a thought in the introduction to this panel about how AI is coming to take over routine tasks, and I wonder what that means for Africans for whom even jobs doing routine tasks have been a little bit elusive. I also want us to think about the need and the balance between the space for artistic validation and economic validation, and how those things kind of meet. That people want the digital skills that they can sell, because we're in a tricky economy that can be kind of fragile, and so we don't necessarily just want people to learn things for learning. We want them to be able to make livings from the things that they learn, so that they're not wasting their time. The kind of divide and the connections that exists between students and industry, coming down to the very practical basics such as ease of doing business, and maybe just kind of reflect on the question, must every artist be an entrepreneur?
They can work and create and design on their own, but eventually in larger productions on TV shows, animation, cooperation and communication is a key aspect. But for me, the skill sets of artists working in animation or visual effects or games, it's the same. We work with the same techniques, same artistic approaches, we work with the same tools, and the more and more games reach a quality level, the more these tools cross over. So artists can move between the different aspects. So for me, talking about games, it's not an entirely different subject, or VR. But from the creative side, and also the people who make the technology possible, a pipeline, they're all trained with the same skill set and the same mindset. So crossover there, I think, is a great thing. Like kind of normal students that we hope to graduate, they can then specialize into one area but have a good understanding of all that's required in the creative industries today. And they know how to collaborate, which I think is absolute key. Collaborate and communicate, as it's really tough as an individual artist. For them to later on maybe go on and set up their own studios, they need to be already learning how to work with other people and collaborate. So it's very hands-on. We ourselves do quite some research, and we try to involve our students in that to think a little bit beyond what is there on the market nowadays. And it's really about giving our students freedom and the tools to experiment and explore and fail, but then eventually also have amazing projects, like you've seen one of them.
To encourage our students to go their own way, beyond the, let's say, traditional artistic approach, we are trying to convince them that it's their goal to create something, to create also a structure which is, let's say, a platform not only for their own work but also for the work of others. So that there is a collaboration, there is a meeting, there is an exchange happening, because in the past this was not happening in the area. Because we feel that without the motivation of the single talented students, there's no way that they can find their own path for the future. You know, we're not trying to imitate concepts of the past. You know, that's why we're really showing closely back what happened in this place before. You know, we have the burden and the privilege of being in the footsteps of probably the most influential art school of all time. You know, during the 100th anniversary, everybody tells you this. So, of course, you have to say, okay, this is history, and now we're something out for something new. And the old concepts were great in their time. Now we have to look for something new. But the sense of collaboration and the sense of that sense for interdisciplinarity are still continuing. Everything the student draws or writes or pictures is still with the student. You know, even if it's a task, you know, given out to them, you know, draw this building, you know, this is your first year as an architectural student, so do it, you know, here is your standpoint and this is your perspective, and do it like this. It's not our copyright as an institution, it's the copyright, of course, of the student.
Most recent work that we've been doing as a company. Right now, what we work on is high quality animations, interactive VR, and film. And that is, we're working with the production house being in Nairobi, but we've been able to get projects from all across the globe. And I feel like that what we believe is that there is a lot of talent here, and we also want to nurture that talent. So we are going to start our own masterclasses in 2 months, going to offer young people the opportunity to learn from us. We're self-taught. We learned from YouTube, to be honest with you. So we're going to teach people that.
What I wanted to do was to create an institute that was able to train people at a global stage. So we want our students, when they leave our institute, they're able to work on any commercial production without having to be retrained again. And how it's all started is that I used to own a film production company, Farsight Productions. And our frustration was that every student who would come from other institutions would spend 3 months training them, and then after they are done with their internship, they have to go, and then you have to retrain someone else. So it got, that was what inspired the inception of the film school. It started as a film school only. So we started with only one course, and then we used to call ourselves Jamhuri Film and Television Academy, and cementing our motto that says, we want to inspire students to cultivate their passion and earn from it. In terms of ADMS, recently, a few years back, I went back to school and I studied film distribution and marketing. And I feel that's one area, and everyone agrees that that's one area that has been lacking behind. We have a few ideas. We also have a few ideas of how we can engineer, projects that we can take to the international market. So the next time I'm going to Berlinale or Cannes, I want to be able to carry along Kenyan productions. So I don't want to be only, not just Kenyan, African content, to the global stage. We are tired of also consuming so much from outside. We've been consuming, maybe 90% of the content that we consume is foreign. But what is our contribution to the content out there in the world? So this is my goal for the next few years. We hope to be able at least to engineer, at least create 5 projects in film, 5 projects in TV, and 5 projects in animation. And I'm hopeful this is going to come through.
Creativity and artistic ability have for a long time actually been considered intrinsic qualities not requiring any form of education. However, I always maintain that training is very necessary in order to maintain a career as a professional artist. Most find careers in commercial art or other related fields which may require training beyond inherent ability. And I keep on insisting, in as much as some of the practitioners out there disagree, that training is inimitable in all professions. If you do not know how to blow into a harmonica properly, you cannot play. If you do not know how to do a certain move, you cannot be part of a dance group. If you don't know how to keep the flow of an improvisation skit, you cannot be part of a stage comedy performance. If you do not know how to immerse the audience into the scene that you are doing, you're actually not an actor. You cannot compete or support others without learning some professional skills. One of our major weaknesses as Kenya is on capacity. We have very few people who are very good at what they do in terms of film, in terms of theater. So we need to build capacity in order to energize the sector. We need professionals in terms of screenwriters, script writers, editors, designers, photographers, cinematographers, animators, performance educators, actors, directors, technicians, managers, who will help advance professionalism in the creative industry and promote theater, arts, film, or whatever kind of creative arts, so that it can serve as a catalyst for further growth of the industry. The theme of this particular conference, there's need to get the basics right. The story, there's a problem, and you know it, that there's a problem in terms of coming up with ideas that resonate with a larger target audience. Context is key. We should not just aim at cloning another Hollywood in terms of storyline and style. That's a major problem in this country.
The industry contributes about 7 billion Kenyan shillings to our GDP. That's about $70 million US. And out of that 7 billion, about 2.3 billion Kenyan shillings comes from riverwood production. That's essentially the informal sector in Kenya. So this already gives you an idea of how big, how important this industry is. And if you look around and if you've gotten a chance to mingle, you'll find that this industry is encompassed a lot with young people. This is where young people are, this is where young people are thriving. I cannot wait for you to hear what Barbara and her team have been able to do. She tells me the next stars are gonna come from Kenya.
We try so much to formulate a model like the Hollywood way, and it doesn't work for us. We have very rich stories, like for instance, how people talk, how people communicate, and it's something which I realized when I was there. When I was here, I didn't see it. I was very, close, but when I was there, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
We have very interesting stories. We have stories to share to the world, stories people don't know about.
To create a vibrant film industry. And to create that, we have to identify key critical factors that will be able to convert the negatives to the positives. So for us to have a film industry that is standard, the education component has to start from the kindergarten all the way to university. And we're engaging the Ministry of Education, Kenya-Institute of Curriculum Development, TVET authority, that is the authority that really takes care of the tertiary education as far as mid-level colleges are concerned, because we are all aware we produce products for export, and that can only happen if the structures are right. Understanding of the industry, I believe anyone who makes a choice of joining the creative enterprise makes a right choice, or has made a right choice, because this is where the future is. Today, the world has been reduced into a very small village because you are able to access the entire world market depending on whom you are targeting and what you are selling. This has been brought about by technology. This has been brought about by collaborations.
Together with the filmmakers will definitely grow and be different. I think basically we work as the coordinator in the local space together with Rush Media, and it's been fantastic just working with Film Academy, Baden-Württemberg, and at the same time having that support from Robert Bosch Foundation. And I think because you're talking about cooperation, it's one way to just see how people can cooperate and move stuff from a level which would actually be an ordinary level to a professional level.
In film, often just because we love it and we want to make good films and we want to make great cinema, but often as filmmakers, we're deprived of the chance to just step up. And for me, as a filmmaker, not just as a docuboxer or someone at DocuBox, it's just been a fantastic chance.
We have at Film Academy, we have something called International Class. So it's aimed for young filmmakers all around the world. We invite them through our partners to come for 6 months to Ludwigsburg. You get a grant, you get a scholarship, and you will be introduced to hell. And because, you know, Film Academy is very harsh, in the moment you're accepted, hell breaks loose because you have so many things to do.
And like she said, it was hell. It was like 6 months of crazy hell, like so much information, but a very good, interesting exposure where you get to collaborate and work with Germans, get to know their style of shooting and how they work, and also for us to show them how we work. So just have this thing to blend in together.
Niche in the industry basically is to try and expand our genre benchmarks, that we should do more science fiction, we should do more action films, because even my experience in Cannes was, we were watching films, some of them were really, I don't want to say boring, but I guess we have very unique stories, we have, so to say, better stories, we just need to expose them.
That with the budgets that you have, the quality you produce, the length of movies that you have, the resolution that you're producing, that's not really your market anyway. Right now, you've got social media, you've got YouTube, you've got Facebook, you've got video on demand, you've got Netflix, you've got all these guys, and they're all very, very interested. The last 2 movies that I worked on, Submergence with Wim Wenders, directed that with James McAvoy, right? And The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind were both taken up by Netflix. Both these films are done in Africa. I know that Netflix is looking for African content, and these are the people with the really deep pockets today because nobody else has the money.